What's going on, guys? Chad's here. Today we're going to be talking about death storages. What are they, where are they, and which one should you be using? Firstly, death storages, also known as item retrieval services, are a game mechanic originally implemented in order to collect the player's items if they died inside an instance. Prior to the item retrieval services, all items would be deleted if the player's death was in an instance. These death storages will hold all items the player died with indefinitely until the items are reclaimed. So because of this, Ultimates are able to take advantage of this mechanic for purposes such as skilling or reorganizing the inventory. These are especially important since Ultimate Iron Men are forbidden from using Death's Domain and Death's Coffer. The great thing about these death storages is that UIMs will be able to store all their items in there, similar to a bank, but there are a few key differences. For starters, it's a withdrawal only option, meaning once something's taken out, it can no longer be placed back in. Next, you can't specify a quantity that you want to take. If something is noted, you must take the entire stack. If you have a stack of unnoted items, then you'll have to get creative with filling your inventory so that you only take what you need. And finally, the most important thing to remember is that if you die while items are being held in a death storage, then those items will be permanently deleted, which is why it's important not to do dangerous activities while death banked. Additionally, if the player has an active death bank, upon login they will be given a warning message in their chat box. There are many different death storages in the game. However, I'd only recommend using a select few since many of these are in dangerous locations and could risk an additional death while trying to retrieve your items. Now, the best option for this is using Hispori, as it's the cheapest to unlock at 25k, it's in a safe location, and it's in a very accessible spot. Hispori requires 65 farming, and you must have a fully grown Hispori from a seed. If you can't access Hispori yet, or maybe you're out of seeds, then some other early game options are the Volcanic Mine, Zulrah, or the Nightmare. Due to an update in May of 2024, the Volcanic Mine can now be accessed without the Kudos requirement from before. This means the only requirement is completion of the Bon Voyage quest, making this a decent early game option, with the main drawbacks being 150 Numalite, which typically is not kept, and it could be annoying to keep an extra item. And returning to Petrified Peat after you died can be quite a long distance to travel if you have yet to unlock the Dig Site pendant. However, with all that, it's still a very good option for an early game account, as the requirements are very low. The next option is Zulrah. Zulrah was actually the original death bank for UIM nearly 10 years ago. Zulrah is accessible after completion of the Regicide quest. Zulrah's death storage fee is always free for UIMs, and the location is safe and fairly accessible from charter ships, or a ferry ring. The main drawback of the Zulrah death storage is that unlike the other storages, you don't get to see a window with all of your items. Therefore, your items are returned to you in a specific order, and you cannot choose which ones you want, which can be quite annoying. However, if you don't plan on taking out any items while you're death banked, then by all means Zulrah is a good free option. Finally, the last early game death storage option is the Nightmare. The only requirement to access the Nightmare is the completion of Priest in Peril quest, which can be done very soon after account completion. The main drawbacks are a hefty cost of 60k, which can be very pricey for an early game account, and the location is very far away. Some of this distance can be mitigated with teleports, such as the Ectophile from the Ghost Ahoy quest, which is also another early game quest. Although, with all that being said, the Nightmare is not my first option that I'd recommend for an early game UIM. However, it probably would be your first available death bank, since the Priest in Peril quest can be unlocked so quickly. So hopefully one of these options works for you, as I highly recommend everyone use a death storage. Correctly utilizing these can help speed up the progress of your account and give more freedom while skilling. That's all today. Hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.